Hello! Welcome back to Cup of Film. It's been 7 months, right?
7 long months, yeah. It was February when we left off, I think.
It was dark times. It was very dark times. But we are back, and better than ever, we are ready to give you our review on the newest adaptation of Stephen King's It that just released, what, Thursday?
Friday, but yeah.
Okay.
We saw it Thursday.
We saw the pre-release at the Chambersburg Mall. Some high quality viewing. Yeah. But so if you haven't seen it and you want to be spoiled, then here is the trailer.
My grandfather thinks this town is cursed. That all the bad things that happen in this town are because of one thing. An evil thing.
Bill, if you will come with me, you'll float too.
George. I saw something.
The clown. Yeah, I saw him too. You'll float too.
What happens when another Georgie goes missing? Or one of us?
You'll float too.
Are you just gonna pretend it isn't happening like everyone else in this town? If we stick together, we'll win.
Now, we are here to talk about it. So,
Yeah.
when we were walking in, we were all talking about how good or bad we thought it was going to be. But
Yeah, do you want me to
so,
start?
yeah, let's
So,
start with this.
I was extremely excited for the new It. I saw the old miniseries when I was a kid, and I just recently rewatched most of it. And looking back, it was terrible. Tim Curry as Pennywise was great, but other than that, the movie was just boring and long. It was a 4-hour miniseries that aired on television in 1990. And I think the main reason that it failed, it wasn't good, was because the studio had full control on what they could air. And first off, it's TV, so you know right off the bat you can't air most of the stuff that's in the book. And especially in 1990, when it was in a very conservative time, you had to be careful with what you could show. So you kind of missed out on a lot of what made it. So I was going in hoping that the director could fix the problems of the old series. And after watching the trailers, I was very excited to see, what he would bring to the table. So.
I honestly never saw the miniseries. I didn't read the book either, even though I am a Stephen King fan.
It is thicker than the Bible, though.
Yeah.
So you have to take that into account.
if Stephen King is just a long-winded writer, but it was. I came in expecting a lot, but I didn't have faith in it that it would provide that.
Yeah.
So, I didn't expect it to be good, but I thought it was going to be entertaining, if you can follow my train of thought. So, because I'm really into I really like the sadistic kind of just
Dark
crazy
horror,
characters that Stephen King can come up with that aren't one thing.
Yeah.
Pennywise is not just one thing.
He's not just a dancing clown. He manifests into your fears.
So I was
Exactly.
I was really hoping that I was going to be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen. I haven't seen the original It either. I saw the new It though, and I gotta admit, both are kind of blocks of cheese in my opinion. They're both really
Blocks of cheese.
cheesy. The old it seemed really comedic, really cheesy and not scary. And then this one, they tried way too hard to be scary and ended up not being scary at all.
Yeah.
But I thought it was pretty cool.
Butler.
I didn't see the new one, or I didn't see.
You're just here, yeah.
I didn't see the old it.
I'm just here so I can
But whenever like I first saw what Pennywise was gonna look like, I was like, that looks really stupid.
Yeah, I
That's
think a lot of people shared that
He
concern.
doesn't look like a real
Yeah.
clown.
He looks.
It,
I think it was the CGI enhancement, or I don't know. It was just costume just seemed way too over the top. I think, like kind of like you were saying, they were trying too hard to be scary. And I think what made the old Pennywise so scary is that he was so nice and like
Realistic.
outgoing. Like like you know he's evil and sadistic, but yet he's not acting that way. So kind of like it just creates some uneasiness inside.
You're anticipating.
Yeah.
but like you can't really relate to the new one
Yeah.
because like it's not real. It's
Yeah,
completely
yeah.
fake. Nothing.
There's no stakes in it.
Yeah,
It's
nothing
just-
like that could happen in real life.
Yeah.
Well, like I liked the movie.
Overall.
I liked it. It was like the kid characters were my favorite part. That's
Yeah,
all.
by far. So, do you want to start like dissecting it from like the first act onward? Like
Sure.
the movie, like we'll just go. So, like your first, like the first scene. What'd you think?
First scene is best scene in the entire thing. We were sitting in the theater and you could just see this conversation going on between Georgie and Pennywise, and it was gold.
Yeah.
Like I was honestly, I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And like I kind of wish, and it's kind of crazy. You just had dialogue between a clown and a kid, just back and forth, and
Yeah.
that was like scary in
Clown in a
itself.
sewer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is, like, the clown could be standing there, and,
Yeah.
but like, that scene is so iconic.
Yeah.
Is that like I'm very glad that it was.
I agree.
It
That's
was
the
done well.
that's the only scene. Like I walked in excited, like I said earlier, and after that first scene, I was like, if this is like the rest of the movie, it's gonna be gold. But sadly, it starts off here and ends somewhere down here. It loses. I don't know, but like the dialogue between, like you were saying, Pennywise and Georgie is like what I wanted in this movie. But after this scene, there's no more of it. Like there's no more interaction between Pennywise and the kids where like he's like, it's just the scares are all the same after that point, in my opinion.
Yeah, I wonder if it was meant to showcase more of the kids and how they handled it, rather than Pennywise itself.
Yeah.
Which kind of contradicted what I wanted out of it,
Mhm.
because I really think that Pennywise is like a really strong villain.
Yeah,
He's
he
a
is.
very
He has potential to be. Yeah.
and he's but when they didn't play with him properly, like
Mhm.
the fact of that he can be very sadistic in what he talks about,
Yeah.
but still not like attack or scare people.
Mhm.
That's scary in itself.
Yeah. I agree.
Like kind of the restraint or whatever.
Mhm.
And there were so many opportunities that he was actually very scary when he came out. What was his name?
Which kid?
No. The policeman's son. And
Henry. Yeah.
Yeah. So when Henry killed his father,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden it was Pennywise on the
Oh, television.
Jesus.
I like that. I like
and
that.
it was like
scene a
kill
lot,
them
yeah.
all. It was just
That
like,
was my second favorite scene
yeah.
in the movie.
It was
Well-
like pretty. It was pretty cool, and the fact of like he kind of didn't realize that he was doing it.
Yeah.
That he killed his
Exactly.
father.
And like I don't know, because that was probably one of the. I think that was it was like my second favorite scene, and honestly though because it was just like so unnerving, yeah, and like I was expecting the whole movie to be like that because the director, I think I'm pronouncing it right, Andre Muschietti, he said in an interview that like he wasn't holding anything back. This is going to be like a hard R rating, and I was really excited. But other than that scene and the first scene, I don't know what granted the R rating other than the language shared between the kids. I mean, yeah, they curse and say the F word a couple times, but like other than that, what made it R? I don't know.
Maybe a couple gore scenes.
Yeah, like there was like 2 or 3 gore scenes out of a 2-hour long run time. But that's still like, I don't think that was warrants an R rating.
Content though.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Did I hate this movie? No. There was a lot that I liked. So like after the first scene, what I was saying was after the first scene, it goes right into what I did love about the film, and that was the kids in the movie. The chemistry shared both on screen and off screen, I think, is what made this movie work in some aspects. Just the interactions they had together, I think, were really natural. They didn't seem fake, and like one of the biggest problems I've had with Hollywood recently is casting really bad youth actors. That was my biggest flaw with Logan. The kids in the third actor, Logan, they were terrible, but they really they were.
I love the fat kid in there.
Thanks, Aydin. But they really hit the nail on the head with this one with casting these young kids, and I wanted to point out Richie, who's played by Finn Wolfhard, who's also in Stranger Things, I think was probably the best in this movie.
Okay.
And you could honestly see a lot of parallels between this and Stranger Things, I think, overall.
Kids
But,
taking.
yeah. But I'm not complaining because in this movie it worked good. So, that's my take on it. I don't know what you guys thought.
Yeah, Finn Wolfhard, he killed his role, and he's a really versatile actor because he played a pretty serious role in Stranger Things, but then played a pretty goofy role in this movie. Yeah. Sophia Lillis, who played Beverly, she was a great actress as well. But yeah, the kids in it, they were great. It reminded me a lot of Stand By Me.
Yeah, I agree.
And yeah, it was
The Goonies.
Yeah, the Goonies too, yeah.
More the other youth actors I liked in it that weren't part of the Losers Club was
Henry?
Yeah, Henry and his gang.
Yeah.
They his goons didn't have that big of a role, but I still think they were cool background characters.
Yeah. Even though they were flat characters, they had an arc.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes I think.
Yeah.
Finish.
And like you can really see kind of there's like a little social commentary going on within this because that's how Stephen King wrote. You can see when like his goons are beating up on Mike and stuff, and then like he gets hit with a rock, and they all start getting hit like, or when Henry wants to carve his entire name onto
Ben. Yeah, Ben. Yeah.
And they just kind of question his authority almost.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a look at like a stand on bullying and stuff.
Yeah.
Like how is it that he's like controlling them like this, and it's kind of cool to see that he's not like they're not like dumb grunts or whatever. They're actual people, and they're just like kind of like what the hell, dude? Like what is wrong with you? But they're almost unwavering. Yeah,
I did hold back that like they showed like sometimes I felt the bullying was over the top, but like I think overall they hit it pretty. They did pretty well. Good job with it, especially the scene with Ben getting his stomach carved with a knife. I didn't think they'd go there, but they did, and I like that. Like that's what I wanted in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But so like I don't know. Overall, I did like those characters.
Ben got cut up so many.
I know Ben. Like
how many gashes did he have?
Stomach especially.
Yeah, he got a pocket knife to the stomach. He got Pennywise's claws like tearing his stomach open. And like the next scene, he's just standing there with like bleeding like profusely, and he does not care whatsoever.
He's just like,
why are you taking him away?
Yeah. I was gonna say something, but
Well, it was. Who was it? Was it Richie?
Richie was Finn Wolfhard's brother. Eddie was the asthma guy.
Oh yeah. So Eddie, when Eddie was, his mom took him away.
Oh yeah.
You would think that she's like, oh my god, you're bleeding.
Yeah, like,
and
Ben,
she's like
what's
super,
wrong? Yeah.
super crazy about like pills and whatever.
Yeah.
She's like,
which were
she
She's
just
like on the verge of death.
I know.
She's just like, you know.
well, I don't
But
think
he
it was
doesn't
that bad. I just think he was.
Didn't look
cut.
too bad.
I think it didn't look good, but I don't think he was like.
There could have easily been an infection brought along with this wound as well. I mean,
Are we just gonna go over the medical aspect of everyone's injury?
we might as well.
Can we go over the fact that Pennywise's face split open into 3 jaws
Wait, when was that last scene?
in the last fight?
Oh my gosh, I had
That was
problem. Well, if we're gonna talk about like Pennywise transforming into these like the embodiment of fear, like Aydin said, I feel like what he transformed into, none of them actually scared me at all. I think it was
The only
because
one that was like kind of scary was the flautist.
which one?
The painting?
Yeah, the painting was kind
No.
of creepy looking.
See,
The
I
clown.
felt
Then
like
again,
it was just too
painting's
much
kinda creepy.
CGI.
The CGI in this movie reminded me a lot of Mama, which was another movie that the
Directed by-
director.
yeah.
That movie scared me.
But just like this movie, that movie was just over the top and not
Yeah.
scary at all. It was just like, ooh, cheesy.
The
I think
thing-
situational horror is more or less like what's like a better horror, because when you're just getting jump scared and stuff, anything can be scary.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing. It's just like it's like playing on the fact that
Yeah.
you have a fight or flight reactionary sense, and then you go. But like when you have like a situation of like even though I don't consider Saw to be a great movie, Saw is a great situational horror.
I like the first Saw a lot.
And
Yeah.
and I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
even gonna go into like, oh, the twist is like the coolest thing
Yes.
ever. It's like, I'm talking about like the fact that you're given a choice where nothing is good.
Yeah.
And like for this, it was the fact that they didn't know what Pennywise was, and I just wish that you could see kind of the inner turmoil a little more of that. They all saw things,
None of them
and
talked
none
about
of them talked about
that.
it.
Made
I know.
like that made me a little mad because
And, but it,
that is
they
so
only
unnatural.
talked about it when it was key, and
Yeah.
that pisses me off. Because you can
Yeah.
see that coming in a plot, because they're like, well, we have to like introduce it. Everyone kind of knows
Yeah.
what's going on. But like,
Yeah, they
like
did
I
it-
think it would be
it
scarier
was way too
if
convenient. Yeah, like the timing was just.
I think it would be scarier if one person saw it, talked to everyone, and everyone
Yeah.
was like, "What are you talking about?"
And then it happened.
And then it happened. To
That's what I'm
everyone.
saying. Like if that happened to me, I would be calling one of you up and telling you what happened. Like I wouldn't
Be like,
wait.
"You're
I would.
crazy."
Yeah, like I don't know. Like especially with like who introduced it? Was it Bill after he saw Georgie? Was that when we first? Is that when he talked to me about it?
No, it was.
Or was it Beverly? No, Beverly.
No,
when
it
she
was
went
Beverly.
missing. When she went missing, that's when they talked about
No,
it,
no.
right?
It was when it's all her blood, all the blood happened.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And then
Which was a good scene. I
Yeah,
like that
And
scene.
then Bill brought up Georgie.
that's very Shining-esque.
Yeah, I thought so
Yeah.
too. It was still, it was shot well, but I agree. But yeah, like it's like this, the kids just were like,
I think
that was the only problem I had with their plot. It was just
Yeah.
none of them talked about it at all. Like, and like that's the point of the movie is
And
that
it
they're
all-
the only
yeah.
ones who see this stuff.
It
so
all
you think they'd
happened
be
one at a
talking about it.
time, and like it would happen, and then you'd see them in the next scene, and it'd be fine.
Yeah,
Like I would be
scarred.
I would be like
Yeah.
scared out of my mind.
And that, yeah, and like going back to the CGI, that like Eddie, who's the germaphobe, the one with the
Yeah.
asthma and the pills and all that, his embodiment of fear was the leper, the sick guy.
Mm-hmm.
The CGI used on him was terrible. Like I got a picture to put in the video.
And honestly-
it was just absolutely terrible. And like that made me like it just took everything away from it.
They like relied on CGI more than like
Practical
visual
visuals,
effects.
yeah.
Like that entire like costume could have been done with makeup and latex and all that kind of stuff, and that looks way more real than anything else. I mean, that's why that's why like The Walking Dead gets so many high ratings, is because they're the only CGI that's kind of noticeable are like stab wounds and gunshot wounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just because you can't shoot and stab people
Yes.
properly and like not kill them.
Now, going into another flaw I have was I feel like maybe it's just because the kids in the movie were so great, but I felt like the adults acting in this movie it was very underwhelming.
Dry.
No, not even dry. Like the scene when Bill comes home and he has that sewer system set up with the hamsters like tunnels, and the dad's like, "Georgie's dead," and he like stands up and like.
The
It was
dad's
just so
act, it was
yeah,
awful.
It was so over the top, and I like actually laughed in the theater. I don't know if you noticed. I was like cracking up because it was just so over the top, and it was just like little stuff like that just took me out of the movie for a moment and made me realize like, come on,
Yeah.
like it was just like made me reflect like
I really
want to be immersed in this movie. I don't want to be taken aback because of like stuff that shouldn't be.
Yeah, and I mean a reason for that is that the focus is on the kids.
Yeah.
So the kids are going to be the more developed characters.
I agree.
But I mean, even with Beverly's dad.
I liked him. I liked him in that.
Yeah, but the thing is that like they didn't kind of develop her situation properly.
Yeah.
That's true.
Like they hinted at it,
Like you
and they
used to,
and it's like.
One
again, yeah.
Like why didn't she come home one day with like bruises or something?
Yeah.
Or come in they ask a question.
Like the kids, you mean?
Yeah.
Ask like what's up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like it was kind of like everything was just separate situations going on.
It wasn't cohesive. Really.
Yeah,
Just
and then all of a sudden Bill decides that they need to do something about it, and they all come together, which is great and all, but if it all was kind of intertwined with like. Everyone kind of knew everyone had a problem. Like they all started saying like, "Oh, we've been like seeing stuff. Like stuff has been like coming out and everything." And then you go into finding out that Pennywise was in all these things. And, like,
Had a part in all of it.
And like I kind of wish. See, I don't know how important it is. Because it's called It because they don't know it's Pennywise until the end, which is very important to the whole plot. But I feel like the camera, like being a character itself, like in focusing on pictures where Pennywise was in the picture, like subtly, I feel like one of the kids should have noticed that and maybe not have said anything. That way they just look at it as like, this is weird. But like just so they know that there's something going on and like I mean I also kind of wish there was like almost a backstory of why Pennywise.
Yeah.
Like why is Pennywise?
I'm sure it's in the book too.
And
like
and I mean you can't drag out and make it a 3-hour movie.
Yeah.
But I think that it would be much better executed with that. And you're like it's almost to the point of like you could almost do like 2 movies of it.
Well, they're going to.
Yeah,
They're
but you
going
could almost
to.
do like you could almost do 2 or 3 movies.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like Pennywise, like it. I don't know. It creation. Like Annabelle creation. It
Okay.
creation.
Yeah. I think. Yeah.
And
in
then
chapter 3.
Yeah. My biggest problem with the movie, they had great actors. Bill Skarsgård. Skarsgård, whatever his name is. He was great. The kids were great, except for whatever his name's dad is. But they're all great. But the plot that they were put in was just not like fit for them, you know, and like it was just poorly. It was poor. It would have been way better if like the plot worked better and it flowed better because the actors were great and they worked with what they had. And they had great performances, but the plot really threw me off.
Yeah. Well, can I make a? I can almost compare this to Suicide Squad. Not hear me out.
Yeah.
Like, I think the Jared Leto's Joker could have been really good, but he was just given a crappy script.
Yeah,
and I feel like this Pennywise could have been really good.
He was just given,
but he was just given nothing to work with.
Yeah, and
that's
like,
the problem.
I mean, like if you look at Suicide Squad,
yeah.
they have the random knife and gun scene in the circle because it looked cool and they had a budget they wanted
Yeah.
to play with. That's all they wanted it for.
Yeah.
And it was just every edgy kids and like the soundtrack to that movie is basically about like a 15-year-old that was like into rock from like the 1970s.
Now, I'm talking about soundtracks. I was kind of upset with this soundtrack because it's an 80s movie. They didn't really have a good 80s soundtrack. I mean, I like the whole New Kids on the Block thing that they did, but other than that, the soundtrack was very lack.
This, I'm done.
Okay.
Well, I think that is a good place to cut off. Let's give our final ratings.
Yeah.
Out of a scale of 10, what would you give it?
I gave it a 6.
Aydin?
I'll give it a 7.5.
I give it a 6.5. So
Do we recommend? It depends what you're looking for, really. Are you looking for like just to have an entertaining, fun time? I'd go see this. But if you actually want to get something out of a movie, go watch something else. Don't spend your time on this.
But the only other thing is that I was pleasantly surprised at the fact it was entertaining. But
Pennywise should have talked more.
yes.
There's just a reliance on jump scares.
It was like if the whole movie was like the first scene in the movie, I would have rated that like a 9.
Yeah.
Because he was comedic and he was just like sadistic at the same time. Like he's like someone that like I shouldn't talk to him, but like he's fun to talk to.
Yeah, he lures the kids in. Yeah, that's the point. So, alright, check it out. Maybe not. Let us know what you think.
This has been Cup of Film. Deuces.